Hi, welcome to Grouper. I'm so glad you decided to join us here in the community. I'm sure that you're going to find a ton of like-minded people who you can connect with, move with, meet up with, and just get to know better. What I really love about this community is just that. We're a community of people who value connection, who value living an active lifestyle, and who really want to lift each other up. Everyone here is supportive, encouraging, and kind. And honestly, it's a breath of fresh air. If you're new here, you might feel a little overwhelmed the first few minutes you're here. Take your time, be patient with yourself, give yourself some grace, and of course, ask us any questions that you might have. In the spirit of getting up and doing something, we're gonna have a little movement snack right now. If you need to do this seated, you can, but if you are capable of standing up, I invite you to stand on up and join me in this short movement snack. So let's start by just standing up nice and tall, finding a nice long spine, pulling our head back so that our ears are over our shoulders, and softening our knees. Let's start with some shoulder rolls, up and back, just getting that rotation through our rib cage and spine. I love a good shoulder roll. It's like the ultimate way to just get a quick burst of like, oh, that feels so good. So make sure these are nice and big, allowing the rib cage to move, thinking about the shoulder blade moving up and back. I never roll my shoulders forward, I only roll them back, mainly because I just feel like I'm always in this sort of forward shoulder position. So up and back is sort of a nice counter to my normal day-to-day life. Let's start to make this bigger, adding our elbows in. So starting to get more into the front of that chest. Nice deep breaths. And then even bigger, up and over, big arm circles. Nice. And then start to add a little sway side to side, even making the movement bigger. Great job. Okay, next up, we're gonna do some rib cage isolation. So I'm gonna take my feet just a tiny bit wider than my hips to have a more stable base. I'm gonna slightly bend my knees, arms out to the side. I'm zipping up my pubic bone, so nice, strong core. I don't wanna move my pelvis, and I wanna take my rib cage side to side. So if you're seated, this might actually be a little easier because your pelvis is inherently more stable when it's on a chair. But go ahead and just let the rib cage move side to side, keeping the pelvis nice and steady. This feels so good for my low back, giving it a nice little stretch on one side and then the other. Good. Now, let's take our hands to our pelvis and start to circle the rib cage. You can also think of it as circling the belly if that makes the movement easier. This is a little bit of a brain game for me because, again, I want to try to keep the pelvis steady, which is hard. It wants to move. Let's switch the direction of that circle. Awesome. Okay, now we're gonna give the pelvis what it wants, which is to do some movement, right? So I'm gonna take it a little bit wider with my feet, just a tiny bit, and I'm gonna start to lean into my hips. So swaying the pelvis side to side. And I always notice that when I'm standing, I have a tendency to lean on my left hip. So just something to think about. We all kind of stand a certain way where we lean into one hip, and for me, it's the left. So I can feel that there's actually a little more tension on that side as I move side to side, really leaning into those hips. Again, find a couple nice deep breaths, just giving our body a little bit of a wake up call here. I don't know what you were doing right before this video, but you may have been sitting for a while, or you may have just come back from working out. And either way, this is gonna feel good. Okay, we're gonna come into some lateral lunges, side lunges. So taking my feet even wider, I wanna be in a wide straddle. I'm gonna bend my knees and hinge back into my hips and then start to take the movement side to side. So from the side, I wanna show you that I am going back in space as I go side to side. So pelvis is staying steady. The tendency is to wanna like swing my pelvis around. I want you to sit back into your hip, stay back as you sit back into the other hip. Spine is nice and long, collarbones are nice and broad. You can imagine you were like erasing a chalkboard with your butt. That helps me think about keeping back in space, imagining that I was sliding against a wall or something behind me. Good. And again, I'm really hinged at the hips, so my chest is open, my spine as long as I'm not rounding in my back. This is nice through our adductors, our inner thighs, just giving those some love. Those are usually tight, I would say, on almost everybody. Okay. Coming back up to stand, I'm going to bring my feet back in and we're going to do some marching. So I'm going to bring my hands to my pelvis because, again, I want to focus on really moving in my hip and not using my pelvis to hike my hip up. So we're going to march one leg at a time. And I don't want you to all be attached to the height that your leg is lifting. I want you to think, am I lifting it with control? And is the rest of my body staying nice and tall? So even if I'm seated, I could do this by just lifting a leg off the chair. But I want you to keep your spine nice and long. So if I have to, as I lift my leg, if it makes me round my back, then I've lifted it too high. So go lower if you feel that's happening. And I also don't want to do this. I don't want to lift my pelvis, just in the hip joint. So isolating the position and movement of this joint. And if I've been seated a while, this might seem counterintuitive because I've been sitting, I'm in this hinged position, but it's super passive, right? So that's like being seated puts my hip into hip flexion, but it's just the position of the joint. And this is the movement of the joint, which is different. So this is me working my hip flexors and getting them fired up. A lot of times they're not strong, they're weak because I sit so much. So I want to strengthen them. Let's do a few more of these. Oh, feels good. Hopefully you're building a little bit of heat there. Like I'm starting to feel the burn in my hip flexors, and that's exactly what I want to feel here. Waking them up, getting them ready to move me. All right, let's come back to some rotation. So taking the feet wide, not crazy wide, just like a comfortable wide stance. I'm gonna goal post the arms. So the point of the goal post is to open through my chest, feel the shoulder blades on my back. If this position is hard for your shoulders, you could always lower it a little bit into more of a W. So finding a goal post, I'm gonna engage my core, drop those front ribs down and start to rotate through my spine. I want you to think about the rotation coming from your obliques, coming from the mid body and not from the shoulders. So the shoulders are just coming along for the ride. So if I moved from my shoulders, it might look like this. See how I'm getting a lot more rotation, but it's just through here. I want the movement to come from here, from my oblique. So I want my core to do the work. So it might be a smaller rotation, and that's totally fine. It's more controlled and it has more intention behind it. So turning from the ribs. And again, I'm focusing on keeping that pelvis steady. So really moving above the pelvis. And in a moment, we're going to do a more relaxed version of rotating. So if this feels like work, it is, but the next move is going to feel like play. Okay. Whew, that feels nice. Coming back to center, we're going to do arm swings. So this time I am letting sort of whatever happens happen. I have a lot of momentum. My hands are super heavy. So there's no like muscle tone in my arms. I'm just letting them swing. This reminds me of just being a little kid, just super playful. So let the arms just kind of land where they land. I'm letting my pelvis move all through my torso. Whew, this is just a nice, honestly, just like gentle, fun feeling movement of my body. Great job. Take a few deep breaths here. Okay, we're gonna do some side bending now, some lateral flexion of our spine. So I'm gonna bring my feet a little closer together, but they're still slightly wider than my hips. I'm gonna bring my left hand onto my hip, bend my knees a little bit, think about zipping up the front of the body, reach my right arm overhead and side bend. Now, when I say reach my right arm overhead, it's whatever degree I can reach my arm to without arching my back or popping my ribs. So you could even take your left hand onto your right rib cage to make sure I'm not arching in the back here. So these ribs stay down. I'm lifting, lengthening the side body, and then coming over. Think about lifting the rib cage away from the pelvis, creating a lot more space here on this right side body. And let's take a nice deep breath into the right side of our ribs. Awesome job. Come back up and we'll do the other side. Right hand comes to the pelvis, left arm reaches overhead. It might be slightly in front of you. That's fine because again, I don't want to pop here. I'm even going to bring my right hand to my ribs if that feels good and lift up and then over. So the over is less dramatic than the up part, really lifting the left side of the ribs away from the pelvis. Lots of expansion here. Take a nice deep breath. Great job. Awesome. Now we're going to do a few diaphragmatic breaths. So what does that mean? Our diaphragm is the muscle of breathing, the muscle of respiration, and it sits inside of our rib cage, kind of lines the inside of our rib cage. So I want you to think of it like there's a balloon in your ribs. And as you inhale, the balloon is blowing up. And when a balloon blows up, it blows up in all directions. So it's a nice 360-degree breath. A lot of times in our normal day-to-day life, we tend to breathe forward, okay? That's just a natural habit. So I want you to think about breathing into the sides, into the back body, in this 360-degree way. And then as I exhale, the balloon would deflate and the rib cage would come back together. So we're gonna do a few of those together. We're gonna inhale for 5, exhale for 5, and I'll count us through it. So here we go. Think about wider as we inhale. Ready? Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. One more. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last thing we're going to do is a nice psychological sigh. What does that mean? This is a breath you can use anytime that you feel a little bit tense or stressed, or just notice that you're not taking the kind of breath that really invigorates your body. It's an instant stress reliever. It looks like this. We're going to inhale through our nose, take a quick pause, take another sip of air in, and then sigh it out audibly, okay? I'll do it with you. Here we go. Inhale through the nose. Pause. Another sip of air in. Sigh it out. Good. Thanks so much for doing this movement snack with me. I hope you feel invigorated. Be sure to check out all the online offerings we have. We have a ton of online classes, on-demand videos, lots of different styles, lots of different levels. Pretty much there's something for everyone. And I really encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. Try something new. Try something that you've never tried before. You're going to be in the comfort of your own home with a supportive community and a really experienced teacher. So be sure that you are brave, try new things, do your best. And I'm really excited for you. There's a lot of on-demand classes that are 15 minutes or less. So even if you're already an active person, you can fit in some extra mobility or balance or a quick stretching session. If you're interested in meeting local people, be sure to update your profile with your location. If you check out our Connect Locally space, you'll see that we're adding new cities all the time. And these are spaces just for those communities so that people can gather together in real life and make new friends. So check that out, update your profile, ask any questions you have, and thank you so much for being a part of the grouper family. I'll see you around.